Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and a couple months ago I tried a new and debatably controversial brisket technique where I tried cold smoking a brisket for the beginning of the cook, and I completely failed. I could not get it to work. It didn't taste good. It looked really good, but I just couldn't get the flavor correct. And the reason I did that experiment is because I heard kind of like a myth about what they're doing at Bar-A-BBQ, how they're getting incredible bark and great flavor. And I saw in another channel's video, I'll put a link to that in the description below, but I saw in another channel's video that they were doing a cold smoke method where they use charcoal and wood in the firebox, and they set the smoker up to cold smoke, maybe something like 175 overnight. And I thought, I gotta try that because it could be revolutionary. Like I said, it didn't work. So I thought, I have to come to the source. That's why I'm here at Bar-A-BBQ today. And we're going to do the method with Cooper Abercrombie, the owner and pitmaster himself. He's going to show me the proper way that it's done. And we're going to learn, and you're going to learn with me, exactly how he gets great flavor and great bark on his briskets using the cold smoke method. Ta-da. So to do my research, I have Cooper Abercrombie here. And he's going to show me how he uses this match light to make some of the best brisket I've ever eaten in my entire life. And I've tried the food, and I can tell you guys, it doesn't taste like lighter fluid, it doesn't taste like dirty smoke. You know, it tastes like delicious brisket, and it looks like $1,000,000 too. So, how come the match light?
I'm relatively a lazy person, and I don't have time to set up a torch. I can light a couple lumps of charcoal with this match light, throw my logs in, and I'm ready to rock and roll in like 2 minutes and walk away.
So I also want to ask you, how did this method start? Were you just thinking about it and you're like, oh, I know how to make the food even better? Or how did it come about?
Cold smoking is not, we didn't invent it by any means. There's plenty of places that do it. I'll let them share it if they ever want to. It's not my business to share that. But the main reason we did it is I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids. I have a wife. Up until we had the staff we have now, I did all the cooking, all the trimming, all the seasoning. And by cold smoking, the briskets come off between 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon versus the old way, 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock at night.
That means missing bedtime.
Means missing bedtime, missing dinner, not needing to be there for my kids for the last part of the day. So it was a big deal for me to be able to go home and be dad for a little bit. So that is the sole reason we do the cold smoke process here at Bar-A.
Awesome. So can you show me how you do it? Because in the video, I kind of saw a little bit about how it was done, but I tried it at home on a backyard pit and failed miserably. I think I used probably 5 times too much matchlight charcoal and probably double the number of logs I should have. But now I know. But can we walk through the process so somebody at home might try it and see if they get the same kind of results you do?
Absolutely.
Cool. I bestow upon you the matchlight.
Gracias, senor.
And I even got matches.
Step 1 is going to be to adjust our stack right away. So on our Syntex, vertical is wide open, 90 degrees dead shut. We want it about 10, 15, 20% open. So it's very, very shut for this process.
So to me, that sounds like it's going to get slow moving, turbulent, bark forming air.
Yeah, so, there's really one core principle with barbecue that I, truly believe in my core, and that's more pepper, more smoke, the darker the color. Less pepper, less smoke, the redder the color. So by cold smoking, you're essentially taking that color to the max you can get by adding a crazy amount of smoke initially. And we also put a lot of pepper on it, so it kind of helps get that color. But if you stick to that principle, it's pretty hard to get too far off.
The first brisket I ever cooked, I thought the goal was to get the color to be mahogany. Now, I know that, it's not really what I want.
We're going to put maybe about a quarter of this bag in there. You just need enough to get the logs lit. You're not really trying to use a lot of this product.
Okay, that's like a sixth, a seventh of how much I used in a backyard pit.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even close.
No, it does not take much. Like I said, you're just trying to get the logs lit. Matches for match light. Cool. That's lit. We'll get our logs. So when we're setting up our fire, we try and get more lighter logs on that first layer. These are a little bit more seasoned what I'm putting on down here. And we're gonna get them very tight together. We're gonna make it very hard for that fire to breathe. The next layer, we go about 4 to 5 on that first layer, depending on how big they are. And then we're essentially just kind of filling in the crevices, the cracks in between the logs with that second layer.
So I would call that a bundle fire. What do you call it?
That's exactly what it is. It's a bundle fire.
Gotcha.
And then that third layer, we really want to find some nice, dense logs that are going to kind of really slow smolder throughout the night. I'm going to pick through it a little bit.
So heavier, thicker logs on the very top.
Yeah. It's been super dry in Texas this year, so it's been a little bit harder to get green stuff. And there it is. It's probably, I don't know, 8, 9 logs or so. So I'll keep the door open until it kind of gets going, and then we'll shut it down. We'll let it do its thing, and we'll show back up here about 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. So they go for it's about a 6.5, 7 hour cold smoke. By the time we put briskets on, leave, go home, and come back here.
I can hear the logs crackling. So how long do you let it burn before you start shutting things down?
I give it probably about 10 minutes of the door open. That's generally enough time for the air to get in there and kind of light that bottom layer. And once that bottom layer is lit, it's good to go. It's not going to stop. I've stayed the first couple weeks we were doing this method. It was definitely nerve-wracking, owning the place, being scared like, are we going to burn the place down? So I spent a couple nights up here hanging out, watching it, and it's really kind of amazing. It slowly gets to about 175, and it just stays there till about 3:30 in the morning before it starts coming back down with those logs. And that's kind of what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve like 175 to 200 when we're running this cold smoke method overnight.
When do the briskets go on in relation to you lighting this fire?
They go on, we probably we start loading them about 7:30, and then we probably light the fire about 8 o'clock or so.
So before there's ever a flame in the firebox, the pit's loaded down?
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha.
This pit right now is completely loaded down with cold briskets that we've seasoned this morning. We trimmed this morning, seasoned this morning. They went in the fridge until it was time to put them on. We pulled them out, let them sit out for about half an hour to kind of come up, let that fat kind of start to get wet again, or that salt to get wet again, and then we throw them on.
Okay, so we're going to wait 5-6 more minutes and then start closing it down?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, I know a lot better of how I might approach it. Now I see I just way overdid it.
Yeah, that was enough for 1,000 gallon.
Yeah.
What you explained to me. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, the instant light is just because I don't like torches. They kind of scare the shit out of me, so I don't like having those things go off in the firebox. There's something about having a propane tank right there next to a live fire freaks me out. So,
Fair.
I don't like them. They're loud. Instant light, I can light it. I can go do other things while I'm letting it get lit and come back and shut that door in 10 minutes. Versus I'm a little more scared to walk away from a torch. So, but that's just me.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, and sometimes you discover great methods not because you thought about it and theoretically this should work. It comes out of other needs like, oh, I need to be gone for the next 2 hours, or in this case, like 6-7 hours. And ultimately, it doesn't matter how you came up with the method. If it works, it works. And by tasting the food, I can tell you, it obviously works. And if this can free people up to, get most of a full night's sleep, then I think it's a very valuable method. But the way I cook briskets is I'll just run the fire nice and smoky for like the first 3 hours or so, keep the temperature low, shoot for like 200. So I think I'm getting a similar effect, but I'm out there babysitting it. Yeah. And if you can get super deep smoke flavor, great bark formation, all those great attributes that you want in a brisket, and you don't have to be out here babysitting it. You can be at home eating dinner with your kids. You put them to bed. Yeah, it's a lot to commend this method.
Yeah, I mean, if I was just cooking on a backyard pit, Jeremy, I don't need to be here at 8 o'clock at night, overnight, and cold smoking this thing. I can get up at 2:30 in the morning, put my briskets on my backyard pit, set my bundle fire up like this, shut everything down, and I can go back to bed till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And cooking a brisket for 15, 16, 17 hours, any bit of sleep you can get's awesome. So
Agreed.
wake up at 2, throw it on, light your fire, you're back in your bed by 2:15, get another 4 hours of sleep, and then go back and approach it however you want to finish the cook from that point on. But it'll achieve the same effects on the backyard as our 1K doing that same setup.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It looks to me as if the charcoal's lit, the bottom layer, you think the bottom layer is lit? I'm seeing flames kind of lick out of the sides now.
Yep. This is a good indicator for me that we're ready to close this thing down, and it's going to nice and slow and do a nice slow burn the rest of the night.
Awesome.
Cool. Air intake's just barely open, just enough, a little bit of airflow through there.
Is it about the same 15% or so?
It's probably about 10, 15, 20%, somewhere in there. You can still hear it crackling. I mean, it's got enough. This Syntex is built so well. It's going to pool no matter how open we have that door intake.
Yeah, I think also one thing that's working in your favor is just the volume of the cook chamber.
Yeah.
Because as those gases escape the firebox, there's a lot of space for them to open up into. And I think on a backyard offset, it's something you have to take into consideration. But now that I feel like, okay, I get how it's supposed to be done, I'm ready to go try it again on a backyard pit.
I think you're going to nail it, dude. It's really not that hard. You're going to nail it.
It hit the ball of the driver, the ball would just go. I was like, it's probably not right. As you guys can see, that method produces a lot of smoke, which is kind of the goal. So I want to thank Cooper for showing us that process. And I also want to let you guys know that if you want to go through the entire brisket process here at Bar-A, they offer classes. I'll put all the info for that in the description if you guys want to show up and learn firsthand rather than just watching a video. You can get hands-on with the whole process and find out for yourself exactly what this method entails and the results that you might get. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere at Mad Scientist Barbecue. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.